Hi, this is Sanjay from MCAD Cafe. I'm here with John Kawola, CEO of Boston Micro Fabrication. Hello, John.
Good afternoon, Sanjay. How are you?
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us. John, tell us about Boston Micro Fabrication.
Yeah, so we're a relatively new company, founded in 2017. We have operations in multiple parts of the world, in US, China, Japan, Europe. And what we have developed is a platform to do what we call micro components. So these are typically components with very high tolerances on the order of sort of tens of microns. And those types of tolerances are typically demanded, it's not demanded by everyone, but demanded by industries like electronics, medical device, microfluidics, drug discovery, MEMS applications. And we believe that's an area of the market that has not been well served in the past by additive manufacturing, both for prototyping. It's hard to prototype something using some of these existing technologies, and potentially for production. And so the company was founded in 2017. We really commercialized and launched our products over the last 18 months. And a lot of our customers are in some of those industries that I mentioned, things like electronics, medical device, research and development, MEMS, sensors.
And so what are your products?
Yeah, so we sell a 3D printing platform. It's a machine along with materials and services. And so what we call our technology Pulse, which stands for projection microstereolithography. So it's really a variant to some of the stereolithography and DLP technologies that have been developed in the past. But what we do differently is we add components, we add high precision optics, we have high precision movement in the XYZ to really be able to get down to an optical resolution. We have two different platforms, but one allows you to get optical resolution down to 2 microns, and one allows you to get optical resolution down to 10 microns. It's really beyond the capability of current additive manufacturing technology.
So give me the type of examples of some products that you can make.
Yeah, so if we think a little bit about medical device, for example, some examples there are endoscopes, heads. So for exploratory operations, well, typically the end of an endoscope, very complex part. You need channels for the camera, channels for the lighting. It has complexity on both sides, so it's very difficult to actually mold that part. So that's a great application for sort of the micro technology that we have. Second example in medical device would be, it's something relatively new and emerging, which is development in what's called microneedle technology. So the world is facing the pandemic, and I think we're all realizing that the traditional method for immunization, which is a needle and a vial, is not easy to scale. And so there's been a number of groups around the world looking at what's called microneedle technology. And I think it's a great example of how the pandemic has pushed a lot of innovation forward. I think people have been working on these technologies for years, and now there's a real incentive to move more quickly and deploy. So those are two examples in medical device. When we think about electronics, just looking at electrical connectors. So very small, complex electrical connectors, perhaps with features that are on the order of 50 micron. Those are all examples of what our platform does well.
Okay, so both the printed circuit board as well as chip design sort of uses a version of lithography, and you are sort of keying off.
Yeah, now we're not printing the circuit board directly, but we like to think that we're helping to really enable miniaturization. In a lot of ways, processing power and the miniaturization of processing power has happened faster than the ability to make a package small. So I can make the chip small, and every year or two it gets smaller and smaller and smaller, but all chips have to fit into something. And the ability to make something that small is in some ways a constraint to miniaturization. And that's one of the problems we're trying to solve.
Okay, and you recently did a press release with a partnership with Materialize. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so we'd all like to have a software workflow that was free and immediate, but it's not quite like that. So like most other additive manufacturing processes, we take CAD data. So we take an STL file, often as an exported from a CAD platform. And then often in additive manufacturing, it needs to be processed in some way. Perhaps support structures have to be added. Perhaps it has to be scaled up or down. And so, we have some of that capability within our own company, but we also have partnered with Materialize, and they've created a version specifically for our platform, which gives us all that capability to help the customer do that pre-processing, but also, just as importantly, preserves the ability to get down to that very fine resolution and maintain that accuracy. And sometimes if your processing of the data is not handled well, you lose some of that ability to create that type of tolerance.
And are you primarily products company or a company where people send their designs for actually manufacturing?
Yeah, we're doing a little bit of both, but we're primarily a products company. So we're selling our platforms to end users, to research institutes, to service bureaus who are offering to print parts. But we do some contract manufacturing, primarily in Asia.
I see. And what makes your solutions unique and differentiated in the marketplace?
Yeah, as I said, we do a couple things well, and some of this is proprietary, and there's intellectual property, where we've taken a basic idea which other people are doing, which is essentially taking an imaging platform like DLP. We've got a vat of resin, and that's being done by multiple companies out there, like 3D Systems and Carbon and Form Labs, and all doing pretty well. And we've added other things to it. So again, we've added the optics, we've added the very high precision movement, and then we've added the software, because again, our software to be able to process the image, to even digitally stitch things together if needed, to preserve that accuracy. Those are all some of the special elements of our technology that allows us to get the performance that we do.
Okay, and so your company was founded in 2017. You joined in 2019.
Right.
Are you planning a quick exit strategy, or you're here for the long run?
No, I think we're doing well. I mean, we launched the product in sort of late 18, started shipping in 19. We're ramping up pretty quickly. We've just sort of reached 100 customers worldwide, so it's starting to scale pretty quickly. We're trying to build a company for the long haul. I mean, exits may come, but we'll deal with those if those opportunities present themselves.
Okay, so the market for the 3D printing industry is really hot on Wall Street, and anybody who has got a name for which says I do 3D printing, they're going up to these Wall Street, and these guys are ready to fund anything and everything that you want. Are you getting any solicitations to?
The capital markets, as you said, Sanjay, for 3D printing is going through a pretty hot phase right now. The public companies are seeing a run up in their price, which is great. They've been able to do secondary offerings and raise cash. Some of the larger private companies have gone public through some of the SPAC vehicles out there. And so we're sort of a few years behind in being a relatively easy stage startup, building our business. But in general, this is all very good for us, because only a few years ago there were probably only one or two companies in the industry that could make acquisitions, and now there's many more that have the scale and the cash and the equity to be able to do that. We certainly talk with. I mean, it's a pretty in the big scheme of things, it's a $10 billion plus industry overall, but it's still pretty small in terms of everyone knowing everyone. And so I think the combination there, and there also has been some recent consolidation. So I think when it makes sense, we'll entertain that.
Okay, and can I ask you a couple of personal questions?
Sure thing. Yeah.
What drew you to Boston Micro Fabrication? You were doing pretty well otherwise in other companies.
Yeah. So I've actually been in additive manufacturing longer than most people, about 20 years. I was at another MIT startup called Z Corp, which was about 20 years ago. That did very well. We sold that company to 3D Systems. I spent about 3 years helping Ultimaker build their business in North America. But I was interested in getting back into the early stage company. I saw opportunities. I wanted to get back into the early stage of additive manufacturing, but at the same time, arguably, it's crowded. Arguably, there's lots of companies, lots of them doing the same thing, whether it's desktop 3D printer companies or even very large scale metal companies. There's lots of metal companies now. So I think it was what I was really looking for was something that was high value, something that had not been a portion of the market that had not been well served in the past. And that's really the whole theme behind our company. And so I was excited to join about a year and a half ago.
Okay, and what has been the biggest challenge for you running this company?
Yeah, in the big scheme of things, it's gone pretty well. I mean, we've been successful raising money. We raised money before COVID, which was good. We've already started to sell. The products are pretty good margins, so we've been able to sort of build our company without consuming a lot of cash. And so on that has gone pretty well. And also, I think we do have something unique and different. So when we're talking to prospects, most of these prospects are pretty well educated already about what's possible in additive. So when we're showing up and showing them a sample, they're usually pretty impressed, and that starts the sales process. So that has gone pretty well. I think COVID has been a challenge for everyone in how they structure their business. I think some have been affected more than others, certainly. But as an early stage company, arguably we're not that affected. I mean, we're starting from a very small base. We were able to build our business pretty successfully. We were pleasantly surprised to be able to place many systems last year. These are relatively expensive, so they're on the order. They're over $100,000 a piece. We were relatively surprised that lots of companies invested without ever seeing the machine.
Wow.
So, that usually didn't happen in the past. Usually they have to go to a trade fair or go to a reseller site. But I think we were able to execute on the sales process and learn pretty quickly how to make samples that was largely unaffected, mail those around the world, talk to people on the phone, use tools like Zoom or our phone. We actually, interesting story, we created a very well-produced video. And we showed that to prospects, and they found that somewhat interesting. But what we found to be much more impactful was just an informal live demo, literally holding your phone, showing them the machine, opening the door, having them see behind the machine, having them ask questions, and in a way have it be so that like they're in the room with you. And we found that to be a pretty effective way to conduct our business. And so, I think we're all looking forward, just like the rest of the world, we're looking forward to getting back out and visiting with customers and going to trade fairs and just getting out.
Okay. And John, what do you do for fun outside work, or what is your personal passion outside work?
Well, I try to stay as active as I can, which is sometimes challenging in Boston, where the weather's not great, to be honest. But I ride my bike a lot. I ride a bike, 2,000 or 3,000 miles a year. I live relatively close to the ocean, so I do a lot of things on the ocean, from sort of windsurfing and things like that. I'm going to go as hard as I can until my body runs out of steam, and that's what usually keeps me going.
And do you do generally day-long hikes, bike rides, or a multi-day as well?
Yeah, I mean, there's every year I probably do 3 or 4 sort of multi-day events that are sort of hundreds of miles. And so, the weather actually today here in Boston, it's the first day that it's maybe 40 or 50 degrees, so it's feels like it's around the corner.
All right. And John, can you tell us something about yourself that most people at Boston Micro Fabrication don't know about you?
That they don't know. I don't know if there's much, to be honest. I mean, we have a team here that's growing. As an early stage company, most of the first few dozen employees that we've hired, we all knew each other before somehow. So there aren't too many new employees. So to be honest, I think we have a pretty sort of closely knit team here. So there aren't too many secrets.
Okay. And what is the best way for our audience to find out more about Boston Micro Fabrication on the internet?
Yeah, so it's our URL is www.bmf3d, so it's the number 3.com. And to engage, I mean, we the first step in really any interest and sales process is people getting their part. So this is pretty common in the industry. Send us the file, we print the part, send it back to them. Usually they're pretty small, so put it in an envelope, send it back to you. And that usually 9 times out of 10 customers are pleasantly surprised or excited about it, and it starts the discussion.
Oh, great. Well, thank you so much, John, for taking time to record this interview. Stay safe.
Thanks, Sanjay. You too. Take care.
This is
Bye.
Sanjay Gangal from MCAD Cafe.